What's going on, everyone? Coming at you with some more One Piece gameplay. Today's matchup is between Vivi and none other than Iceburg. The battle of the leaders who cannot swing. Which leader has the better effect? It's hard to say. I think that Vivi has access to a better card pool, but Iceburg can spit out bodies like no other, so it'll be interesting to see how these two decks match up. I'm personally piloting the Vivi on the left here. I don't know how I feel about it, but the way I built Vivi is basically all red with the Strawbeard package, and then I swapped out some of the events for 4 Red Rock. And so it's got a fair bit of removal in the sense that I'm playing Red Rock and Fire Fist. And also I'm playing a lot of these big vanillas, which I think is probably the way that you play Vivi going forward. You kind of treat the vanillas like like for example, you know, your 2-drop 4K vanillas, you can play those if you really want to, but like 4-drop 6K vanillas are basically 6-drop 6Ks with rush that draw you a card. So again, same thing with your 6-drop 8Ks, they come 8-drop 8Ks, draw you a card. So Iceberg's gonna go ahead and they're gonna play a search Kokoro, which searches them, and then they're gonna drop a Talstone down. We're gonna drop 2 choppers and then draw here. Nothing super duper exciting, but we want to protect our life because we cannot really play characters that much. We want to just protect what we can and get those blockers out early. Though they are 1 cost, they are pretty easy to deal with, but our opponent's going to swing here with Talstone. We're going to take that. And they are at 5 Dawn, so they can do a couple of fun things here, but they're just going to opt to go ahead and swing 7 with Kokoro here. I do respect the decision, and then they're going to drop a Raw Belushi down. So we're going to go to our 6 Dawn turn, and we are sitting on a Fire Fist here, and I know there's also a Red Rock in our hand, so we're thinking, you know, Otama on the Raw Belushi, Fire Fist, pop Belushi, and Kokoro. So we Tama the Lucci, Fire Fist, popping Kokoro and Lucci, clearing most of the bodies off the board, and then also drawing a card off the Vivi effect. So we're in a spot where, you know, we can see some success here, but our opponent does have enough Dawn to the point where they can play a Poly out, which Poly can pop something, and then, you know, they could also play a King potentially as well. So it's really just interesting on how they want to go about this turn. But they're going to use Iceberg effect to play Poly. Poly is going to active a Dawn, and they're going to pop a Chopper, and then they're going to go ahead and play King here, which is going to pop the other Chopper. Really nice sequencing there from Iceberg to get rid of both of my blockers. And now I'm in a position where things are a bit more dire, and I can't really afford to not establish a body. So I go ahead and I play down the Thatch. I pay for 2 to draw a card and give him Rush, and then I swing a Talstone here to pop it. And yeah, now I got a big body on board at least. My opponent only has 2 bodies, and I could be in a position going forward where I can just keep dropping these Thatches, drawing myself a card, and giving them Rush every turn to kind of overwhelm my opponent. They go ahead and they grab another Poly off the Kokoro, and I'm like, all right, I'm sorting my hand. I'm looking at how much counter I have. I want to protect the Thatch at all costs. I think that's what you have to do. So they're going to swing 10 here at my Thatch, and that's going to be a 2K and another 2K to get out of it. Again, I think Brook's pretty good in this deck because if you play him, you can give 2 Rested Dawn to something and then give that thing like another thing Rush. Just really, really interesting. And they're going to play another Poly. It's going to pop my Otama, and then they're going to swing again 7 at me, which I will gladly take. And then they'll play a Khalifa, which is going to be their engine to draw cards this game. They are running low on hand at this point, and I still have a fair bit of cards in hand. And I'm basically drawing 2 cards every turn. So again, I think at this point on this turn, I want to play another body down. So I'll swing 6 at the Poly and make that go away. And then I pay 6 for another Thatch here. And then I pay 2 to give it Rush. And then I'm going to slot a Dawn underneath it and swing 9 at King, which they aren't able to counter out of. And then we're going to play a Nami here just to look top 5. And I think I end up grabbing a Sanji here because I have no Dawn active and I don't want either of my Thatches to die. So I need to make sure that I have enough counter in hand to get out of whatever my opponent goes for. They're going to go for another King to pop my Nami just to get another big body on the board. They swing 5 at leader here with their Khalifa. I end up taking this swing here, and it's a Fire Fist, and it's going to pop the Khalifa, so that's another body off the board that I don't have to worry about, you know. Again, it's just about controlling my opponent's board. They're going to swing Kokoro, which I'll counter out of. They'll use the Galley Law effect, and then they'll swing Poly for 6, and I'll 2K out of that. And then they're going to play another Raw Belushi, which, again, I kind of have to deal with. Their board at this point, like they're getting pretty wide. Unfortunately, I do have a fair bit of cards in hand that I can use to answer my opponent's you know, bodies. So I go ahead and swing 8 at Polly here with the Thatch. They're gonna let Polly go, which I think is the right choice. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to pay 6 for a red rock on the king. The 7k body I think is just too much. And then I'm going to swing Thatch at the Kokoro, which will go down again. So now our opponent only has 1 body on board. I'll play the Ezo here, and I'll search. And then I will find a Edward Newgate. And then I'm going to activate another Chopper, and then I'll pay 2 for the Vivi effect. And I kind of make it look like a Rebecca effect, so that's my bad. It doesn't misplay on my part. But I was really just activating Vivi to draw there. And I was playing Rebecca, who really plays Vivi, right? So our opponent's got 3 cards in hand, 2 of them being Blast Breaths and 1 of them being a Poly, so they're kind of running out of gas at this point, and so they opt to go ahead and play the Poly, which is going to pop my Chopper, and then they go for a really big swing here with Lucci, and I think the proper play here is probably swing at my Thatch, but I think they're worried that I have enough counter to get out of it, so they're going to leave 2 non-active here, and they're going to swing a pretty big number here, 12, and I end up just taking it. Swung was out life, so, and they play a Frankia, which is a 2k, but also can give plus 1k to one of your characters for the battle, not the turn, so I think it's a pretty terrible card, but at least it's searchable by Kokoro. So now we're in a spot where, you know, we're just going to start swinging at this Lucci, and they have a Blast Breath in hand, and they have this Frankie effect, but it doesn't really make a ton of sense to protect because, again, it would just die. We're going to pay 6 here to bottom deck this Poly with our red rock. We've been sitting on a bunch of them this game, and now Poly's going to go away, and again, our opponent only has 1 threat on board. We're going to activate Vivi effect here, and then we're going to pay 1 for an Ezo. Actually pay 2 for that Ezo, most expensive Ezo of my life, and we're going to grab a Jozu here. And then I think I end up not swinging with Thatch here because I didn't want to give my opponent additional cards to play. My opponent's like, well, I could probably just swing, you know, Poly at 11, Frankie at 11, or I could establish a board. And I was like, yeah, you definitely wanted to swing Frankie at 11. Definitely don't want to establish a board. I am sitting on a red rock, so we did play a character that I could, but we just go ahead and swing 11 here. And that's going to eat most of my hand to get out of, to be honest, but I did have enough to get out of it. And so now I'm in a spot where I am starting to feel fairly good here. I can play down a Newgate basically uninhibited, and I can kill these Frankies and get my opponent into a spot where they really realistically cannot survive next turn. So we're going to swing Thatch at 8, and then Thatch at 8 again. And then we're going to pay 9 for a Whitebeard to give plus 2k to Vivi. And then again, we're going to play down a Nami to search top 5 here. And Nami's going to grab me a Zoro. And this Zoro basically is going to guarantee that I can close out the game, in my opinion. I really need the Zoro here for a bit of redundancy. Just because, like, I think Luffy's a bit too expensive. And I don't know what he has in his hand. He's got a fair bit of cards in hand. I don't know what he's deciding to do. And I don't think that I can realistically deal with, you know, 2 or 3 bodies if they come down, in my opinion. So I could definitely deal with 1, but I don't have any blockers in hand right now. And I think if my opponent, like, realistically, I could, if they don't play another body here, I could bounce 1 and I could play out a blocker if I draw 1. So they opt to play a 3rd body, and this way it basically guarantees if I don't kill them, then they kill me the turn after, because I cannot deal with 3 bodies. There's no way that I can. And so, especially after exhausting most of the counter from my hand from that 11k swing. So we're going to swing 8 here with the Thatch. And then I'm thinking about swinging with a Thatch for 9 here, which does go through. We then swing 10 with Newgate, which also goes through. So then we swing 5 with Ezo, which I think is a bit of weird math on my part, but I think it ends up working out because we swing Zoro for 8, and that ends up taking the game. So Vivi coming through in clutch here, winning her first game on the channel. I think she is absolutely terrible, but I think she is... There's a way to play her for sure. I think if she had access to the full Whitebeard package, she'd be a lot better, because again, having those Marcos out that just sustain you forever is really, really nice. But you know what? That's the game, and until next time, Monty out.